This is Tom Duty, middle-aged American, living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you're to visit my website, you put Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search for my site. This is Open Mic. Listeners, you're in one of two categories. One is you do not have the skill that I have, and I will demonstrate on this open mic. Two, you have the skill and realize it's something that is not pleasurable for you. So here's an example. If you go to a beach party, get drunk, lose your keys, you come back the next morning, look at a hole sand, you don't even know where you were, you hope to find your keys, but it's a pipe dream. There's one of those old guys with the metal detector. My uncle, prior to his death, was one of these old guys with a metal detector, and if I live long enough, I will probably be one also. So you see one of those guys and you say, wow, he's our man. And with his help, never seems to be women, forgive me, elderly ladies who do this too. It always seems to be elderly men who do it. Metal detector looking for metal things on the beach. You find one of those guys, wow, he not only has the equipment, the skill, but he's got the patience and the time to do this. Well, for the next hour, I have the time. What I'm going to demonstrate is that I can search through a trend on Twitter, and I can find tweets that are more interesting than most. So, for example, the trends get filled with people who are tweeting. They read on New York Times. I'm one of these persons sometimes. Won't be tonight. They read on New York Times. They read on Think Progress. They read wherever, CNN. Click, share. The kind people at New York Times, Think Progress, or CNN, they've already scripted a tweet, share, click, and boom, it dumps a link to the New York Times, Think Progress, or CNN story to Twitter along with a pre-scripted tweet. This is my skill. I have the ability to look past those almost as if they're not there. And I'm really not kidding you. I have developed this over some time. So if you decide to stay tuned in, what you will find is that I am finding the tweets that are more interesting, the tweets that are from people rather than organizations. I can't always find those, but that is my preference for people, men or women, not organizations. And in addition to that, I look for those that are personally scripted. Now, that's not a perfect science, but I know that I've gotten better at it. And I've listened to some of my open mics, and I'm on my game. Tonight's going to be my best. It is also a topic I'm particularly interested in Sandra Bland. I had paid attention to the news around her time, and I was relatively sure that I had given enough time and attention and that she had committed suicide in jail. Well, I had a friend who's black comment on Facebook, and I said, I stopped tuning into that story because I thought her suicide was legitimate, and he kind of offered an alternative view of the story. So now the story is back in the news, and I plan to open up my mind and try to see what other people are thinking about this story. Ultimately, it's up to ultimately, Sandra Bland is dead. Suicide, not. Wrongful death, whatever. Um, Sandra Bland is dead. However, through civil, adjustment with money doesn't replace a life, and someone who is properly prosecuted doesn't replace a life. However, it does send a message to society that this kind of shit won't be tolerated. So, listeners, a reminder: the Sandra Bland video dash cam that was released to the public was edited. Anybody who watched it with a tip that it was edited would not miss it. I mean, cars are going in the opposite direction. Again, it's a dash cam. Cars are going in the opposite direction. and suddenly the car disappears or a car appears. It was obviously edited. Well, so that's obstruction of justice. And who did it? Well, the police did it. So, anyways, the Sandra Bland story is now alive once again because the police officer who arrested her has been charged with perjury. So he is, the officer's name is in the news. I don't know. I haven't committed it to memory. So with that, I begin to demonstrate my new skill. Again, just like the old guys who are on the beach that have the time and the patience to sift through sand looking for metal stuff, he would be your man if you lost your keys. Well, on this occasion, you just want to sit back and listen. I'm going to find the tweets on Sandra Bland that aren't the pre-scripted tweets, that aren't the organization tweets. These are people scripting their own words. By the way, another trend tonight is 10,000K. Twitter plans to release or is considering, I don't think there's anything to stop them. Twitter is considering releasing the 140 character limit. And I wish they wouldn't, but whatever. They will do whatever they need to do to be profitable. They are not profitable. And so I would be on there trying to get my opinion if I thought it would make a difference. It won't. It might. I prefer the Sandra Bland story. So here we go. Sandra Bland. So this process is simple. I begin looking for tweets. When I find one, for some reason it's not updating. There we go. 12 new tweets. When I find a tweet that, in my opinion, is more worthy than the other ones, than the ones that are tweeted about the same time, when I find that tweet, I reply to that person in a style that I developed over time. So again, the skill that I have that folks, listeners, you either don't have or you have and you at this moment you're too lazy to use. Here's another 15 tweets. Okay, now I'm moving. So here we go. So the first tweet is WBTV. I scan right by that. And here we go. This appears to be, yeah, this is Sabrina Luthiere. Sabrina says nothing about herself. If she says nothing about herself, then I keep looking. There's plenty of tweets tonight. I don't have to compromise and get something other than my A target. Here's someone named Thomas O. Thomas O tweeted a minute ago. Sadly, this is not enough. Sandra Bland didn't have to die. The trooper is as wrong can be. Liar. R.I.P. Sandra Bland. So with my amateur expert opinion, Thomas O has scripted his own tweet. So I'm going to follow Thomas O, and I'm going to click reply. So listeners, if you missed it, I have just demonstrated the skill that I have that you either don't have or you have and you at this moment are too lazy to use. You have better things to give your full attention to. Let me do it for you. It's one of two categories. You have the skill, you don't want to use it now, or you don't have the skill. I've just demonstrated it because I found Thomas O, and he is two things. One, a person that appears to be a person, not an organization. And with the name Thomas, he is presenting himself as a man, and he has scripted his own tweet. Listeners, you will know more in a minute. So Thomas is a petroleum engineer. So I'm going to skip that, though. He's a proud parent. He's got a Bible quote in here. Interesting. He's got a generally liberal content to his tweet, but yet his profile says points to conservative politics. So USAF veteran, USAF veteran man, and I will just shorten his tweet. Sandra Bland didn't have to. I use the number two instead of the word to like he did. It gets my tweet a little shorter than the original. And then I think if I do Control V, yep, I get my Google. I get my Google link. And in a minute, I'm going to add my JPEG. My JPEG says Bland in very big letters. And there we go. First tweet. Again, listeners, you are in one of two categories. One, you do not have the skill I have. What is the skill? Scanning down a list of tweets to look for the ones that are most interesting. You either don't have that skill or you have it, and for whatever reason, you're too lazy. You time and attention is more justified elsewhere. All right, sit back. Twitter's now in cruise control. Just listen. And here we go. Tweet number one. I'm now searching for tweet number two. Okay, so this is cool. This is Thomas O. Thomas O has what has he done? He's done something to my tweet. It flashed away. So I'm going. I'm not. I abandoned my search for a tweet. I'm one for one. This usually takes me 10 tweets before I get a relevant reply. So already I got Thomas O, and what he's done is liked it. So I will open Thomas O's full profile, which I try to avoid, but this is good reason to do it. And incidentally, Thomas O has some what I consider indicators as a um, political conservative. For one thing, he's retweeted something, Fox News, and it's George H.W. Bush with Barbara. And it's wishing him happy birthday. Okay, conservative thing, evidence number one. He's a veteran. They're liberal veterans. But he's on Twitter, he's politically active, and he's a veteran. That points to conservative. Petroleum engineer says nothing conservative. It says a lot of things about his education, his professional status, and so on. But it doesn't say anything about his political uh, lean. Entrepreneur, philanthropist. He is a proud parent. When I see the word proud in a Twitter profile, I think conservative. So there's three things. He's also got a Bible quote. Again, I think that points to conservative. Retweet does not apply. Endorsement. I sort of think that applies. I'm not going to say that. And he's from Texas, so it's a red state. He's certainly more likely to lean red than blue. So, but yet on Sandra Bland, he has quite a more human, soft favor of the late Sandra Bland. So this is really interesting to me. So here we go, Thomas O. This time I've opened his full profile. Now he's Woodland, Texas. So no, I can't find his. I can't find his. Let me find his BLAND. There we go. I'm going to keep going. Where does he retweeted? All right. So I'm going to reply. So I'm going to say would lend Texas man liked my tweet. I'm going to put my Google link and I'm going to say grazie. And now I'm going to change my tweet. My one tweet so far has gone from as if I were in Patterson, New Jersey, and that's just an error of the Wi-Fi. Twitter looks at the, I don't know, looks at something and comes up with my location, and it was wrong. I often have to correct it. And on this occasion, I corrected it. I picked my JPEG, and off I go. That's my second tweet. So this is one for one. Listeners, as my screen refreshes here again, what I am doing, what the skill I believe I've developed is the ability to look through a trend and find more interesting tweets, right? Anyone can do that. So I have found I'm now starting to do it without as much effort. It just, I kind of scan and I'm able to filter out those repetitive tweets, the tweets that were not scripted by the user. I'm looking for the custom scripted tweets, and I have developed the ability to do that without working so hard. So this, of course, has become more fun for me. And if you know that I'm having fun doing it and it wouldn't be as much fun for you, there we go. Sandra Bland now has a hashtag. She now has a hashtag on her name. The late Sandra Bland. The late Sandra Bland. So I begin looking for a tweet to be used as my third tweet. And the first profile name is Police Brutality. Well, here's someone that says perjury is only a misdemeanor. Well, perjury, if convicted, is also a conviction of lying. So justice is served, charges are brought, and a fair trial is made. This woman is saying it's not justice. I'm not close enough to the case to decide, but certainly if the person lied, he's charged, the arresting officer lied, he's charged with perjury, obstruction of justice, and he's convicted. He is a convicted liar. So I don't think that's nothing. If it's fair, I'd like to see it. Tell them what you know, what you see, how I roll, and how. Okay, so this I can use this one. So I'm going to follow Incredible Hulk, and I'm going to. Now it's kind of troubling because it appears to be a woman's hairstyle. So I'm going to chance it and call this person a woman. The picture does not show this person's face. So I might chicken out in a moment. So here we go. So I found Incredible Hulk, tweeted 2 minutes ago. And I'm just going to say, tell them what you know. And I probably already chickened. Tell them what you know, person. Since I don't know if it's a man or a woman. And then simply hashtag Sandra Bland. And now I add my Google tweet, my Google link. And I get. There we go. Tweet number probably 3. Again, listeners, I am demonstrating on this live stream a developed skill. And that skill is either one you don't have or it's one you have, and at this moment you choose not to use it. I have the ability to scan trends, be able to find the ones that are, I'll call them more interesting. Only more interesting because they speak to a person. They're not some big news org that's auto tweeting. They're not a bot Twitter profile that's auto tweeting. There's a person, self-described person. I prefer someone when I can tell if it's a man or a woman. The last one I didn't, and I discovered that too late. Don't follow me, I'm lost too. So this person's great. I love this already. So, uh, and again, I've got the same trouble. I can't tell if it's a man or a woman. So I'll call this a person. At least it's not an organization like CNN. So I'm going to say, oh, Frank is in the person's profile. So the original is in the title, but arroba Frank Forial. So I can safely call this person a man. I say, don't follow lost to man. Oops, I need a space. Lost to man. No, I don't need a space. Lost to man. Uh, Sandra Bland. Bang. There goes my Google link. And a boat is letting off, so I will probably stall a little bit before I begin to hunt for my next tweet. And it's 8 in New York. And certainly the peak of rush hour is past, but this boat is sort of full. So as I give my webcam visual space, step off to the side slightly. Um, listeners, I had a napkin. This is open mic. Listeners, I am demonstrating a skill you either don't have, or if you have it at this moment, you prefer not to use it. I can scan a trend and with little effort pick out the more interesting ones. The more interesting ones are people who have scripted their own tweets. These are more interesting than New York Times that has a pre-scripted tweet that tens of thousands or thousands of people are just clicking and sharing. So these tweets are more interesting. And as I've done open mic about 10 times now, I found that in addition to being able to do this, I've gotten better at it. And here's the kicker. It's also easier for me. So that's the winning thing. I've gotten better at it, and it's easier. It's also more fun. 20 new tweets. So why would you want to keep listening? You would keep listening for this reason. You're feeling lazy. You would rather have me search for more interesting tweets than go through the tedious process yourself. Again, the analogy is if you go to a beach party, it's at night, you're drunk, you lose your keys, and you go back the next morning to try to find them. There's the open beach. You don't even know where the party was. You don't remember where you were. And there's an old guy with a metal detector. At this moment, I'm that old guy. I'm a middle-aged man, and I got time on my hands. Roughly 40 more minutes. And here's another one. Eric Mohammed. I editorialize in words and audio. I do not editorialize in the tweet. So I will say what I think as I script this tweet. Eric Mohammed. Let's see what Eric says. Nothing matters except my family, my people, Nation of Islam is the truth. Read, study, embrace truth. Oh, whoa, 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 there we go. I got a 77088 who has, doggone, I don't know what he's done. I'm going to have to, oh, I already got it. I got a new, so listeners, I got a new follower right this instant from Eric Mohammed. And I've also got, I think it's a reply tweet. It's hard to tell, but I'll know in a minute. I'm going to script my tweet to Eric Mohammed, and he is, I'm going to pick Islam, of course. Nation of Islam is the truth, man. So here we go. Nation, capital N. Nation of Islam is the truth, man. Now, here's my editorial and how it differs from Eric Mohammed. He says, nowhere near enough. Well, it's more than nothing. So it's closer to enough than nothing. I have a series of severed relationships. I was once a father of 3. I'm a father of 2. A daughter will not talk to me, and teenage son won't talk to me either. My adult daughter will not talk to me. Teenage son will not. Okay, fine. That means zero. That means year after year, zero communication with these people who call me father. Neither of them deny that I'm their father. Uh, so I don't talk to them 0 times. Okay, you don't want to talk to me, but like, how about Christmas? How about one time a year on your birthday, on the birthday of your late brother? How about that? Okay, this would be something more than nothing. So my way of thinking, something more than nothing is a lot more than nothing. So Eric says it's not enough. Eric, I'm not going to dispute that. I am going to dispute the belittling tone in the tweet. So here we go. And that was my editorial. Now my text will not include my opinion. Nowhere near, and I'll emphasize it just as he has, which I do sometimes. And I have, again, it's Eric Mohammed. He tweeted 4 minutes ago, and it says, Nation of Islam is the truth, man. He has Nation of Islam is the truth. That's in his profile. And he wears one of those crochet skull caps. It's sort of like the Jewish yarmulke, but it comes down to here. I don't know what they're called, which would be worn by a man, a Muslim man. Not all of them. I don't know who doesn't, what it says. But nonetheless, he looks very Muslim, and of course, his name Muhammad, and the hat, and his words in his profile. So he says, Nation of Islam is the truth, man. He doesn't say man, I do. And nowhere near enough. And then I put the tag, Sandra Bland. I add my Google link. Here we go. So each time I tweet, I add this JPEG. Shows a kind of a Andy Warhol kind of look to my tweets. I got this repetitive thing that was something he liked. The Campbell soup wall effect. So I use the same image each time. Eric Muhammad has followed me. No, so that's all I have so far. Thomas O has liked my tweet, and Eric Muhammad has followed me. Now, I just tweeted to Eric Muhammad, so I'm not going to do anything again. I'm not going to do additional tweets with him unless it's solicited or unless it's prompted. So I have just clicked on Sandra Bland. Listeners, what I do on open mic is I have developed a skill. I demonstrated. I've developed a skill that either you don't have or you have, and at this moment you don't want to use it. The skill is I can look through a trend and find the more interesting tweets. The more interesting tweets are the ones that come from a profile that looks like a person, not an organization, not the New York Times, not Think Progress, but rather a person. And I prefer tweets that have been personally scripted. So in addition to being able to do that, I do it in the 10 open mics. I've come to do it with less effort and do it with more pleasure. So I've gotten better at it, and I don't work as hard. So if you want to sit back and relax, I'm going to find some highlights in this trend for you, and I will say what they are, and I will reply to them. And if you want to kind of feel like you're in the game, watch my tweets. And I will call out when I have interaction. So far, I have Eric Muhammad is now I will. Okay, there we go. Eric Muhammad liked my tweet. So oh, and I got 2 notifications. Why do I have 2? He liked it, and he's saying yes, it is. Now it always makes me wonder: does he hear me? Because he could if he wanted, or is he just reacting to my text alone? It's hard to say, but anyways, I'm just glad to get a reply from him. So now I'll call him something else. Before it was the Nation of Islam is the Truth Man, and now I like these words. I think they're read, study. I hope I can remember them. Read, study, embrace truth. And I'm going to call him read, study. I got to spell it right. Study, embrace man. And I'm just going to say, and now I got this. This is hot. I mean, this is, I got probably interaction on every one of my tweets so far. I've got someone following me. So here we go. Sandra, and the Sandra Bland trend is hot. There's no question about it. So I'm going to add my Google link, and now I'm going to get my JPEG. Again, my JPEG, I used it. We've got another boatload of people. That's half of them are still on the boat, and the rest of them are on the what do you call that? The gangplank? I don't think that's what it's called. The walkway that connects the land to the boat. And soon I'll have my JPEG. And it says Weehawken and tweet. Now, as I let this boatload of people pass, I'm going to see what additional notification I have. Someone has followed me, and I have not followed that person. So this is one of those dilemmas that I face. No, DRE loves you. He's a Florida boy, most valuable friend, model, so on, UNLV. I'm ugly, but I prefer handsome. I don't understand. I refuse to be committed cause. Okay, I have no idea if this person is following. He could be following the Sandra Bland tweet. He might not be. He could have just followed me for some other reason. Ah, so ideology is dangerous. So I'm always skeptical. Also bad language. So this guy's great. Okay, so I've gotten a question. So I will, damn. Okay, this man is no more dogma, he says. And his exception to what I wrote. So I'm going to call him Bad Language Man, which is what he calls himself. Bad, I'll put a hyphen, Bad Language Man. Nation of Islam. I'm going to use the Spanish question mark with the word why. And I'm going to add Sandra Bland. So he seems to, he's doing what I do. He's scanning down tweets, seeing things that doesn't look right to him, and he's spontaneously tweeting. So now I'm going to add my number on this because 302-990-2346. If he thinks that and I don't think Twitter's going to let me do that. The tweet is just too long, but we'll see in a minute. Novice Twitter users, when you add an image, it reduces the number of characters you can put in a tweet, but I have 12 characters to spare, so I put now to no more dogma. He has said, what does Nation of Islam have to do with this? So I'm writing back to him, Bad Language Man, Nation of Islam, why? I tag Sandra Bland. Obviously, this is not something I can answer in a tweet, something I'm not interested in answering in a tweet. So I've given my phone number. So if he really wants to ask a question, he can do that verbally. Otherwise, I'm moving on. Listeners, this is open mic. What I do on open mic is I demonstrate a developed skill I have developed through open mic. What that means is I can scan a trend and claim to be able to find the more interesting tweets. I do this by overlooking the less interesting tweets, and those are the repetitive, pre-scripted tweets by organizations and some other stuff that is distracting. I've over the 10 times that I've done open mic, I can tell in addition to getting better at it, it's also done with less effort. So my pleasure has gone up, my quality has gone up. So if you do not have the skill, you want to see me do it, keep listening. If you have the skill at the moment, you just don't want to use it, put your trend following and cruise control and just listen. And maybe I'll engage some more people. So far, I've got quite a bit of engagement in a relatively short period of time. Quite a bit of engagement in a relatively short period of time. Okay, 2 more tweets. Want to know how long it was before an ambulance was called? Was one called? Okay, this is definitely, I haven't seen this. Activists, yeah. Okay, activists, Anna, no DMs ever. If you need to contact me, go find out how here. Tell me on the TL when you send a message. You know, it's too complicated. He's trying to describe how you contact him. It's a relatively simple thing. Here's someone who uses the F word. Love it. All caps plus the F word. The reason why I like to engage people like this is if they do engage and it becomes heated, they don't have anywhere to go. They're already in all caps. They're already saying fuck. It's great. So this is great. We've got and Mad in Atlanta, Mad in Atlanta. I don't know what he's trying to say with that. I think if you can do it for booking contact, okay, he's got a phone number here. So do I. All right. You know what? I'm going to put his number, which means I hate doing this because I got to fill my clipboard. Then I got to clear it and fill it again with my Google link. So I'm going to put his number in my tweet. So I'm going to reply. He's called Men Are Crazy, and I'm going to call him for booking. For booking. I'm going to put his phone number, man. And I don't know why he's saying, fuck the Grammys, but since he says it, I will too. Sandra Bland. And he follows, have you all forgot about? I'm going to try to do a better job of capturing. Forgot Sandra Bland, and then in all caps, like he wrote it, fuck the, I don't need to capitalize the, MMYS. Okay, I got Sandra Bland. Now this is a great one. He's some kind of entertainer, and he's got his phone number in his profile. It's like 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000 people do that. I have to go get my Google link because I cleared it from my clipboard to get his phone number. And I post my Google link. And now I get my JPEG. So now I've got my tweet. I am tweeting to, he's got arroba men are crazy. So that is Twitter ID. He's got for booking, and he gives a number. And it says, forgot Sandra Bland, fuck the Grammys. So the Grammys must be on. That's news to me, but no reason to doubt it. I have seen some music-related news lately in the headlines, and and it would make sense if it were tied to the Grammys. But I can't say I know that it is. So, listeners, in open mic, I demonstrate a skill either you don't have or you have, and at this moment you don't want to use it. And that skill is I can scan a list of tweets on a trend. Again, the trends come in high volume, and and uh, and I can pick the more interesting ones. Okay, here's my fine-tuned skill. If it says fuck, it's more interesting. Not necessarily true, but what is true about it is fuck usually means it's been personally scripted. The New York Times doesn't pre-script tweets and say fuck. So I look for the F word. And again, I scan these things as I've done it over 10 times. My quality has gone up and my effort has gone down. So if you want to sit back and listen and let me try to pick out the more interesting things, they'll be coming at you. 7 new tweets. Let's see what we find. Perjury. Really? That's it? Murder isn't more suitable charge. Now this is a person. Ah, shoot. I'm not going with it. They describe themselves in Chinese characters, which I sometimes take over to Google Translate, but on this occasion I won't. So Tikwa T, she is a lover of Jesus Christ. I love her. Tikwa T. God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but to save it. Okay, so this is obviously Tikwa has scripted this. She's got a Love Jesus Christ profile and she's got a Love Jesus Christ tweet. So I'm going with this. Again, listeners, I scan, I look for the ones that are more interesting to me, and now I got another reply tweet. The latest tweet. Oh no, someone is following me. So I'm going to go after Tikwa, and I'm going to see what that is. So I'm going to call this Lover. Oh, Tikwa is following me. Yeah, I didn't notice that. So I'm ready to script. I followed Tikwa. She immediately followed me back. And now I'm scripting a tweet to her. So I'm already in the process of replying to her. Lover of Jesus. And I'm going to put Christ because I know I have room. Oh, but I didn't put woman. Lover of Jesus Christ, woman. Um, and now I say, I'll get some of the tour, some of the commuters as they go by. These are late. The New York. This is a boatload of people, but the crowds have scaled down. Usually, when I see the people come into the terminal, I look and they're still coming off the boat. But in this case, the boat was empty when the first people broke the door. So the crowds are getting lighter. It's 8:20 local time. New York time, New Jersey time. We're in different states. The time zone's the same. Lover of Jesus Christ, woman. God to save the world. And I'll do the Sandra Bland. Sandra Bland. I give my Google link. And I get my JPEG. I have a notification, but that might be the notification for Tikwa. It must be, because I would have 2 if it were something else. So tweet. Listeners, this is open mic. During open mic, I demonstrate a skill I either have or you have, and at this moment, you don't want to use it. My skill is scanning Twitter trends for the more interesting tweets. More interesting to me are the people who have scripted their own tweets. So if you have ever followed a trend, you would know that the news organizations post and then people share. And so you got all these tweets that are pre-scripted by a high traffic website. Now, sometimes it's like the New York Times, traditional media, and other times it's modern media like Think Progress, like BuzzFeed. But either way, they have a pre-scripted tweet and it dumps into Twitter. So I have developed a skill to be able to look past that. I have developed the skill, and my quality has gone up as my effort has gone down. So, listeners, if you have this skill and you don't want to use it, or you don't have this skill, sit back, have your Twitter Sandra Bland trend following in cruise control. Uh, okay. Twitter bot, I'm going to leave this alone because Twitter bot means, it should mean that nobody, there is no person behind that profile. It's got some programming and it does it auto. And in this case, it's done something an auto profile can do, which is retweet me. So they retweet and they like. You don't see not right, not left. I don't know what it means. Are you saying Allah sent tornadoes for Sandra? So I just got another. This is hot tonight. Just, yeah, here's this guy. No more dogma. So he's got another question for me. Give him his phone number. So now here's how I usually bring an end to people who ask questions on Twitter. It's not that I don't like questions. I love questions, but I'm just not going to answer it on Twitter. So I'm going to say ideally is ideology. So Tiqua. So right now I'm faced with this no more dogma man who's come back to me the third time, or at least the second. So ideology is dangerous. So I'm going to reply to him, and his God, it's way down here now because there's been the ideology I don't know how to spell ideology I wouldn't have done it right. Ideology, got it, is dangerous, man. So this is usually how I bring these guys to an end. Asks a lot of questions. I'm going to put my Google link and I'm going to follow with my number the second time. So if he wants a call, I'm glad to talk to this man. But I'm done on Twitter with this guy. So 404. No, that's the second part. That's my phone number 302. Did I say 404? 302. Maybe that's his number 302 990 2346. So he's got my phone number. I'm attempting to cooperate, but I don't see, I have a sense I'm not cooperating in the way he wants me to. He's asking me questions. They're clearly personally scripted, this kind of stuff I love. However, I'm putting it behind. So this is interesting. Now I got Eric Mohammed, who's now come back to me twice. This is just crazy hot. And so now Eric Mohammed, I guess I'm just going to bring it. I'm going to go back here, and here's another way, listeners. Here's another tip. If you want to end these things, you just like them. Just like them. There's kind of nothing you can do after a like. I already liked his first one, so that takes care of no more dogma. So now I did Eric. I did no more dogma. Yeah, so now Eric, no dogma, is back at me again. You know what, Eric? You're going to get a like. I do like it, but a like is a terminal thing. So Eric Muhammad, nowhere near enough. He's said that again. So I'm going to leave that one alone. And uh, okay, so this guy sounds sincere. Uh, view conversation. This is going to open up to like 10 tweets now. It's my statement makes no sense. Okay, no more dogma. Before your Twitter ID is me describing you. After your Twitter ID is me describing your tweet. If it doesn't make sense, it's because I did a bad job of rephrasing your tweet, or you don't make sense. Here's your answer. Audio, not text. Moving on. So, but here she is, Tikwa. Tikwa is the lover of Jesus Christ woman. LOL. Now I look messy. No cams, please. You know how women are. Oh, this is cute. Uh, she seems to be tempted to. Uh, so I'm going to call her lover of JC woman. If lover of JC woman hesitates, no cam in your control. I'm going to add my Google link. So she seems to get it. She seems to know, which means two things. One, she has a Google account, and she hasn't forgotten the username and password. And in addition to that, she gets it. She knows what it is when she's prompted with a live stream with a Google Hangout. And she knows that if she has her cam on, so I am writing back to her, if lover of JC woman hesitates, no cam in your control. Now I'll finish that. I will bienvenido. Uh, let me change that. That's so cute. You're invited. Okay. So this is pretty close. If she seems to have a Twitter account or a Google account, she seems to know. Again, this is Tikwati. Hard to say if it's a nickname or her given name. I guess it doesn't matter, but it's a person's name, and she's, I'm guessing, is the person. She's presenting herself as she is. It's not one of those profiles where people are being evasive. She seems direct, lover of Jesus Christ woman, and meanwhile her tweets include Jesus Christ in reference to. So she's on the trend. She's consistent with her profile and her tweets. If she would come on to Google Hangouts, I'd love to have her. So Tikwa, your webcam is not required. You just click it off before you come online. Moving on. Listeners, this is open mic. On open mic, I've done this about 10 times. I have developed a skill either you don't have, or at this moment you don't want to use it. I can follow a trend, and I can pick the more interesting tweets. This is not a particularly difficult thing to do, but in 10 different open mics, in addition to being better at it, and again, my quality has gone up, in addition to being better at it, my effort has gone down. So I do this with more pleasure, less effort. So if you want to put your trend following in cruise control, continue listening. I just got 20 more tweets. They're posting a picture of Sandra Bland. And when they do that, yeah, see, this is CNN. This is a good example. Gosh, now I got back to notifications. I was just about to pick a fresh tweet, but I got another notification. Tikwati. So she's done a emoticon, a smiley face, and I'm just gonna like it, and I'll leave it behind. The No Dogma guy said I told him he asked a lot of questions, and he writes back, "Yeah, I do." I tried to engage him in my way, which would be by voice. He seems to prefer to engage me with more tweets. So we leave that gap and move on our own ways. I'm now clicking on Sandra Bland. Tikwa had a fresh notification. However, Tikwa's there was nothing, no, there's no additional place, no additional place to go. So now I have fresh tweets. So now I do what I've developed is. So here's someone who tweeted from WordPress. So maybe, yeah. This is great. So in addition to this being the man's own words, he's got a wp.me, which means it's a WordPress tweet. Great. Maybe it's someone else's WordPress and he's sharing it. No, the name of the blog is Isaiah Factor. So this is Isaiah Carey. And even though he doesn't say anything in his profile, that's okay. I'm going to like this. I followed him because I can call him a blogger man. And his Twitter profile says nothing, but so I'm going to call him blogger man. And his title of his post is The Insight Trooper and Sandra Bland. So I will just say Trooper in, I'll say Sandra Bland charged. And I'm going to add my Google link. And I'm going to go for about 15 more minutes. This has just been absolutely great. This is one of my best ever. I have had personal interest in all these cops kill black people cases. Sandra Bland was especially interesting to me. I also turned my attention away from it, kind of thinking the case was done and nothing would come of it. But now something has come of it. Sandra Bland is trending again. So I have now scripted a tweet to Isaiah Carey. He has a blog called the Isaiah Factor. You know, if I remember it, I'd read the blog post. But you know what? If I can find it, oh, it might be too far back. No, here it is. If it's not too long, I'll read the Isaiah Factor. Yeah, this is great. He's got. Oh, it's very short. So this is a WordPress blog, and he's got following the Walter County Grand Jury indictment, Trooper Brian Encina today, the Texas Department of Public Safety, DPS, began termination proceedings to discharge him from the department. Okay. Following the arrest of Sandra Bland, Trooper Encina, during the traffic stop on July 10th in Prairie View, Texas, and the subsequent custody death at Walter County Jail, the Texas Rangers immediately conducted an investigation into both incidents to determine if any criminal violation had occurred. The results are the investigation were turned over to Walter County special prosecutors, ultimately to a grand jury. So it's his text, you know, unless he's borrowed it and plagiarized. He hasn't. His name is Isaiah. His blog is the Isaiah Factor, and the title of the post is Trooper and Sandra Bland case will be fired. And he's got a very, factual account of what's happened. He presents it factual with very little personal bias, very little editorial. Now I get 14 new tweets. I'm clicking that. I'll probably get a few more, so I'll wait. Listeners, this is open mic. I've done this about 10 times. During my 10 times, I've developed a skill. I can. Someone has liked my Jesus tweet. I can't believe I got this no right, no left guy back again. Buddy, I'm trying to stop it. Uh, so, listeners, what I do in open mic, it's a developed skill. I scan. Now, this no more dogma guy is defending his question asking. Great. Call me. So, uh, what I do is I scan a list of tweets and a trend, and I have gotten better at finding the more interesting ones. So either you don't have this skill or you have it, and at this moment you don't want to use it. So stay with me. This is like trend following on cruise control. In this last moment, I was about to get. By the way, asking now this no more dogma guy wants to educate me on what asking questions means. Okay, buddy, I like your tweet. I like it. I'd like to like 10 of your tweets now, and I'll keep liking them. One click per tweet. That's all you get from me. You've already gotten enough. So now we go. Red Mary Jane has liked my tweet. I am now following her, which means I've done nothing with her prior to this moment. She writes a bunch of stuff, uses a lot of characters that are not Roman letters and are not Arabic numerals. But then she goes on, do not be anxious about sufficient for the day is its own troubles. It's a Bible quote. So I'm going to call her, that's Matthew, by the way. So I'm going to go to Mary Jane. I got to open her because she only liked it. I can't, there's no way to reply to someone unless I open her whole profile. So I'm doing that now. Interesting. Her top tweet is Bob Marley, the best of Bob Marley and the Wailers. She says she's from the true north, so that's great. She is just an ace at using characters that are not in the Roman alphabet, Roman letters, and are not Arabic numerals. She's got the yin yang symbol here. So there's a clever use of digital characters. So I'm going to say true north woman. Liked my, and I'm going to begin Sandra Bland tweet, add my Google link, and I say grazie. So I'm going to wait till this boatload of people pass, and I'm going to add my, and then begin searching for a new tweet. I've done remarkably few fresh tweets, which is sort of good, sort of bad, because I've had so much interaction tonight that I've paid attention to my interaction. I haven't done very many fresh tweets. So that was Red Mary Jane, and she liked my tweet, so I thanked her, calling her True North Woman, because that's where she says her location is. I don't know. Oh, that's just a tweet. That's not on the Sandra Bland trend. Listeners, this is open mic. Open mic, I demonstrate a skill. I've developed over 10 or more of these open mics, and that is I can read a list of tweets and a trend, scanning for the more interesting ones. As ever the time of doing this, I have gotten better. My skill has improved, and my effort has declined. So I got better, and I don't work as hard. Making this more pleasurable for me, and if you want to stay tuned, it's like putting your trend following in cruise control. So here we go. Sandra Bland. Ken Starr was busy gathering underwear while Bin Laden plotted 9/11. Those GOP sure kept. This is great. John Hartman. This is exactly, and he's a piano player. What could be easier? So here we go, John Hartman. Listeners, this is what I mean. Finding more interesting tweets. Piano. Oh, what does he say? Piano player? Piano player. Piano player man? I'm going to say Ken Starr. Distracted by undies. I'm going to call them panties. He says underwear. Panties. Panties are more feminine. Panties. Gee, I think this is what he's saying. Distracted too. You know, it'd be great if he commented because I think I tried to condense his tweet because I want to leave room for my picture. He didn't use a picture, and I think he's right up at the maximum. So I got to say what he said with last Ken Starr distracted by panties, GSP distracted too. Now I got to do Sandra Bland, and I'm going to add my Google link. Oops, I was not clever enough. So I get rid of Ken. Now Ken Starr is now Star. It has two R's with a capital letter, so some people might get it. Star, distracted by panties. GOP, distracted too. I've got Sandra Bland. I've got my Google link. I've got my JPEG. And 2 characters to spare. Generous Twitter would allow me 2 more characters. Ciao. And it's 8:45. I kind of don't remember when I started. Plus Google. And I started 7:30. Yeah, I'm more than an hour. It's time to quit. So this has been fun. To the people who I might have gotten their attention and might still have their attention, it's never the people who I think. You know, if I try to predict, but maybe No More Dogma is listening. No more dogma. You seem to want to engage me in more tweeting. I want to engage you in in voice. You know, and the two aren't meeting. You want to keep tweeting. I want you to start talking. I've given you my phone number a couple of times. Maybe you'll get on one of my open mics in the future. So ciao, no more dogma. Red Mary Jane, possibly she's listening. Tiqua T, I almost had you because you didn't want your cam on. The cam is in your control. Maybe you'll join me on a future one. No more dogma. Tiqua T, no more dogma. Then I have visual decolorization, retweeted me. Oh, and that was a Twitter bot. It sort of doesn't count. Tiqua followed me. Dr. Loves You followed me. Eric Muhammad followed me. And then the other trend was pre open mic. Eric Muhammad commented, yes it is. Eric Muhammad liked my tweet. Thomas O liked my tweet. And then my next interaction goes back to my friend Paula Brown, and that predates tonight's open mic. This has been Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Doody in a Google search for my site. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, good evening. Have a good day, good evening, a restful night. I'm at Port Imperial Ferry, Weehawken in New Jersey, near the Lincoln Tunnel. Good day, good evening, a restful night's sleep. Ciao.